Hey, here we are, number 65, Abuelo and the Nieto. We talk Miami sports. Over there, the Nieto, Tyler Carmona. The old man over here, the Abuelo. Number 65, Tyler, right?
That's right, 65. And last week it was the same thing. I usually know who we dedicate the episode to. We dedicate each episode to a guy with the corresponding number. 65 is a guy I haven't heard of though.
Well, 65, Jeff Dellenbach. Yes, I did a lot of his games, 1985 to 1994, the Marino, Clayton, Duper years, Stevenson. He was there in that offensive line, and he did fairly well. He did pretty well. And then he played with other teams. He played with New England, Philadelphia, and won a title. Yes, a Super Bowl with the Packers. Jeff Dallenbach.
Jeff Dellenbach. Okay, well that's good to know. And if we, like we always say, if we inform one person, we're doing a good job here. So want to talk some Miami Dolphins with you. Obviously, the team as a whole hasn't been playing terribly as of late, but I mean, we've noticed a pretty steep drop off with Tua this year. It almost reminds me of kind of how Michigan used JJ McCarthy a few years ago, where it's almost like they're hiding their quarterback. They're they've always
Yes,
limited him. They've always catered to his strengths and weaknesses for sure, but this is a little different.
yes. But before that, this podcast is presented, Tyler, by Balado Tires, two locations here in Miami to serve you better. Of course, the situation with Tua, Tyler, it is a little bit worrisome. 14 INTs. That's at the bottom of the league right now. So he's not playing well. He's not playing well. The passing game number 27th in the league. Quarterback rating 85.9. He's had 5 games under 180 yards passing. So and I could keep going. Very little production running with the ball at all. So I think it's a number of things that are happening. The coaches have talked to him, and he's extremely careful now in that pocket. He doesn't take too many risks, so that takes a little away from production. Some of the injuries in the offensive line, I think that has contributed also, and the loss of Hill, Tyler, very important. This is a guy that he would basically throw to a particular spot, and the guy will be there to catch the ball. Then you lose that your number one receiver, one of the, at the time, maybe not at this time with the injury, but a few months back, considered one of the top two or three wide receivers in the league. So that is major. And then Waddle not really having a second or third option after losing Hill. Uh, Washington has not played up to the level. He's also a small guy, too many small receivers on that team. So I think there's a combination of things. You have to think whether, you know, also from the beginning, it's a guy that is, a lot of, very intelligent, came from a great program, but physically, he's not a 6'4", 235 guy. He doesn't have a great arm. So there is a lot of things that don't help him out. His accuracy is what really makes him different. And I think he has gone back a little bit physically also. I don't know how you see it, but it's something that you're worried about as you look to the future, and with a situation that probably you basically have to pay him at least next year. You're gonna have him most likely as your first string quarterback at least for one more season for sure.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation because and then this is the first year I feel that you can make the contrary argument, but the conversation here at least has always been moving on from him is one story. Who are you going to replace him with? Is the person coming in going to do a better job than what's been the case? And for the past few years, you can make that argument. I think this is the first year where you might be able to say, maybe the guy that comes in does do better than this. There's probably a solid. It can't be that much worse than this. And that's not even to say that he's playing terribly, but at the end of the day, this isn't. He's not playing the type of football that this team isn't going to walk into a playoff win with this type of football being played. And it's just as simple as that. They're a very one-dimensional team. They found a way to win games, with that being said, playoff football is a completely different thing. And if this team's trying to meet windows for certain players, whether it's if they were trying to meet Hill's window and that window seemingly already passed. So even with the guys you have remaining, if you're trying to get the most out of this group of players, you might want to see if you can get somebody else, in these next year or two and see what happens because this is all going to get blown up pretty soon. Achan's going to need to get paid in a year or two. Every team's going to want him. You got Waddle on a big contract. Are you going to keep him? Is another team going to want a wide receiver too? The offensive line, who knows what's going to happen there? There's a lot of question marks with this team. So I do think at this point, what do you have to lose by giving another quarterback a shot? And I've been saying the opposite thing for some time now, but I think I'm finally on the other side.
Now, Jets, Dolphins this week. Jets have been playing a little better also, but the Dolphins have won four out of the last five. Who's going to predict this? With the running game being very important and the defense getting better, and Achan is doing great. I think he got a chance, has a chance of doing very well in this game. This is the 25th ranked defense against the run in the league. So he's going to be very important, like he is for each game that the Dolphins are playing. So I look for a Miami win, but it should be a tough game. Under 46 degrees, Tyler, Tua loses games, basically. And this should be under 46 degrees. A cold game in New York. Tyler, we always talk about our sponsor. Yes, they're always there for us. Balado Tires, 63 years established in Miami. Two locations, 27th Avenue Northwest and 16th Street, Southwest A Street and 67th Avenue. Very competitive with their prices. And they have also brake service. If you're looking for tires, it is Balado Tires. Are the Canes Tigers still running for a college playoff this year? Huh? That is the subject matter now. And I don't know, Tyler, it's going to be tough, right? Don't you see it that it's going to be pretty tough? But they will basically need help. And I think that they need a position as an all-large team. And for that, they need help now in this conference championships over the weekend, right?
Yeah, they would need some help in these conference championships. I think. I mean, the Pitt wing, they got lucky that Pitt was a ranked team. I'll say that makes last week's win mean a little bit more in the eyes of these voters. At least in my opinion, it will. But yeah, they're gonna need some help. I just think that I don't know. You stack up the other teams that they're being considered with, and they are just more obviously well rounded. But then you also can't argue the fact that Miami has beat teams that are in the college football playoff that are going to make it. So I actually think that they deserve a shot. I don't think there's a single. Alabama looks really good. They're a very well rounded team, but there's.
But if they lose, Tyler, if they lose, they'll have three losses. I think what is going to be key is BYU and Alabama losing, which is very much doable. Very much doable. Those two things lose, Miami should be in. But besides that, my opinion, but that is my opinion. I'm not voting. You beat the team head to head. You have the same record as they do. Uh, in the case of Miami and Notre Dame, Miami should be ahead of Notre Dame, and if it's between Miami and Notre Dame, it should be Miami.
Well, I'll say this: we talk about Malachi Tony is the best freshman in the country. You mentioned BYU. I mean, they got a true freshman starting quarterback, and they're about to make the college football playoffs. And he has a pretty cool name. His name's Bear.
Tyler, if they win,
Well,
they win Saturday.
but they're at least he has them in a position to make the college football playoffs. Pretty cool name too. This guy. His name is. You know what his name is?
No, but you're gonna tell me.
His name is Bear, like a bear. Bear Backmeyer. Yeah,
Wow.
he was a Big 12 freshman of the year, and yeah, I think he's the best freshman in the country, true freshman, and he wears number 47, which is really weird for a quarterback. Yeah, you don't see quarterbacks wearing number 47.
Yeah, definitely. A little different, a little different.
Yes.
But that is what it is, Tyler. And you want to talk about the Heat now?
Well, yeah, I was gonna say a team that we don't have to worry as much about. There are a few questions, but Miami Heat, still playing decent. I guess my question for you is in this particular instance with the Heat, do you think that new style that they've adapted, being so fast, can actually hurt them in some? How long before teams figure it out? At the end of the day, every team comes with this new innovative play style. They'll shock the league, maybe sometimes even for a year or two. Eventually, it gets figured out. How long do you think until other teams start to catch on here?
Well, it might, they might be figuring out a little bit. You know, you take a couple of games in the last few, where, for example, the game in versus Dallas. One of the big problems with that style, Tyler, is you don't have a good shooting night, and especially sometimes they've been having it for from 3 point land. They've been doing pretty well, but they shot I think it was like 30% versus Dallas. So once you do that, and you're making that game fast, and that other team also has a few more possessions, and that other thing slows you down with their offense also, but you're not producing especially to a level that Dallas was producing. Dallas was shooting 50% from from 3 points. So that is the way that it can hurt you. But I think also, I think that could be hurtful for the Heat, that they have to, and they have improved quite a bit. But what you have with those young guys, Tyler, is that you get inconsistency, and a lot of the guys, young guys, are developing and doing better. And we have talked about that at the beginning of the season. But a guy like Larson, sometimes he just cannot fight the basket. He tries to, make 3 pointers. He's not a 3 point shooter because his percentage is awful. And then Jovic sort of disappeared, and they're expecting things from Jovic. He's getting paid like $16 million
Yeah.
next year. So the guy that's really stepped up is Jacques Jr., but the last couple of games he hasn't been up to par. So they need those young guys. This thing is so young that they need those young guys to play pretty well. The guy that's been being very consistent is the point guard. The point guard is always there. He's like number 5 in assists in the league, so he's key. Now, what you have also that is very positive, Tyler, with the Heat is last year, for example, you were depending a lot on Hero, offensively in particular, and then you depended quite a bit on Adebayo. But Adebayo, even though he has improved, is not a guy that you can count on him offensively all the time, right? So now Powell makes a big difference, because Powell is basically right now, I would say that he's probably the best player on this team.
Well, yeah.
You know what he brings to the table, right? So when you put all that together, I see this as a better team. You worried about those defenses figuring the things, figuring it out, and maybe that offense not being as effective down the line as you have it now. That's the way I would see it.
When I'm coming to Miami, who do I need to get my tires from?
From Balado Tires, Tyler, they still don't have the bicycle tires. I have spoken to them about it, because in Miami, because I know the story about your car. So you're gonna go into the bicycle business. But if you're looking for tires in Balao Tires, they have everything, and they're very competitive with their prices. They have 2 locations in Miami: Northwest 27th Avenue and 16th Street, Southwest 8th Street, and 67th Avenue. If you're looking for tires, definitely it is Balado Tires, the place to go. Fantasy football, Tyler, my favorite segment.
Yes, I'm excited for this one because it's a little bit of a South Florida spotlight here as well. This is a Jaden Higgins. Grew up playing football at South Miami Grey Went to play at Westminster Christian. A local stud for sure. Had a very successful collegiate career. He was the highest rated college football wide receiver last year at Iowa State, and he's had a pretty solid, rookie season with the Houston Texans, especially with Tank Dell. They've had some injuries at the position, and he's stepped up. He was a second round pick, so he came in with some expectations, and over the past few games, just going through the past four, 11.5 points, 13.8, 9.5, 15.2. Then he had 13.4 a couple weeks prior. He's getting at least 5 targets, in every game. He's he's hauling most of these in. Last game, he went 5 for 5, for 65 yards. So he's developing that chemistry with CJ Stroud, had some with Davis Mills as well. And he's probably not going to be a free agent that's available, I would say. But if you have him on your bench, you're getting to this time of the season, you're in crunch time, you're making some tough decisions before the playoffs. Wouldn't be the worst idea to throw him in there, I don't think.
Now, Tyler, we have Inter Miami. Inter Miami playing for the championship in the MLS Saturday afternoon. And Messi and company, they have the opportunity versus Vancouver. Some bad news is that Vancouver played very well against Inter Miami, beating 5-1 in April. But Miami had played a lot of games in those I would say the week prior. So physically and mentally, you have to question how well were they prepared for that game. I think it's going to be a very competitive game. You worry a little bit about the Inter, the fact that Tadeo Allende, which maybe played his better game of the season versus New York City FC in the Inter Conference title game. He did not practice Thursday. Hopefully, he's ready Saturday afternoon. Luis Suarez probably will be on the bench. He has not started the last couple of games. So look for Matteo Silvetti, the youngster, who's played very, very well, 19-year-old, to be in the starting lineup. It would be great for Miami, Tyler, for Inter Miami to get the title. I don't want to forget the World Cup draw. It happened in Washington. And Group D, USA has in the group Paraguay, Australia, and a playoff team from Europe. Group J, Argentina, the champion last cup, has Austria, Jordan, and Algeria. Group H, Spain, Uruguay, Saudi Arabia, and Cabo Verde from Africa. And Group C, Brazil, the great Brazil, Morocco, Scotland, and also Haiti. 48 teams in the World Cup in 2026. 7 games will be played at Hard Rock Stadium. Tyler, but if you're looking for tires, Balado Tires, 2 locations in Miami, and they also have brake service. You have no excuses if you have a need for tires. 63 years established in the market. But we have something else, Tyler. This is something that a lot of people like, and is recognizing young Miami athletes, young Miami star athletes. And we have a guy that has been very successful for a team that does not get the recognition that they deserve. And we're talking about FIU. And we're recognizing Keyon Owens, running back for FIU Golden Panthers, the Willie Simmons team that went 7-5 this season, going to a bowl game, and he ran for 1,298 yards. That's number one in the history of FIU. Recorded 5 games with 100 yards or more for his team. Had a 6.33 average per carry with 11 rushing touchdowns. In his career, rushed for 2,026 yards and 22 touchdowns, was a state title winner for Miami Central in 2019. Definitely a young Miami sports star, FIU running back, Keyon Owens. But we have what
Well,
everybody's waiting for.
I love that we gave FIU some spotlight. We always kind of focus on the other schools, and I've incorporated them into Miami trivia a little bit. I'm not going to give you an FIU question this time around, but what's your question for me for this Miami sports trivia?
Well, how about a FIU, Miami FIU? Well, Miami FIU is the same thing because they're in Miami. An FIU question, Tyler. FIU question in Miami sports trivia. Who is the coach, the football coach for FIU that has the most victories in his career with the football team? This is a
Football
very well known guy here in
with
Miami, Tyler.
with the football team?
Yes,
Oh, Mario Cristobal.
that's right, Tyler. Of course, Mario Cristobal, 27 victories. Yes, as the Miami head coach, and that went from 2007 to 2012. 27 wins. What do you have for me?
This one is a little bit you should get it. You should. Who has the most field goals made in Miami Hurricanes history?
Oh, this is the
It's
great
not. It's
Carlos.
not. It's not my buddy, and
It's
it's
not
not
the great
Carl.
Carlos.
No, it's not Carlos. No, I'm not buddies with Carlos Huerta. I meant Andres Borregales.
It's not.
But not.
It's
It's
not
not.
Borregales and it's not Huerta.
No, they were there. They're pretty close though. They're within 4 field goals of the record. This guy is a recent one. He was before Borregales, before both of the Borregaleses.
Oh, Tyler, my memory again. You know, the memory kills the old man, Tyler. Go ahead, help me. Help me.
Michael Badgley.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think he's the kicker for the Colts right now. Still in the NFL. You know, was a great kicker during his time at Miami, and I think he had the game winning kick. He was the guy who ran down the sideline doing the FSU chop. So definitely a piece of Miami history and the best kicker in program history.
There you go, Tyler. We have done it again. Number 65. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. We're everywhere. The abuelo over here, the nieto over there in New York. Arrivederci. Hasta luego.